Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday to all of you. Mark again here, WeatherMan Plus. Now, I'm going to give you an update on the tropics today as well as the severe weather. Now, I did post yesterday about the potential for tornadoes in southwest Ohio yesterday because yesterday's video was just on the tropics. And I am sorry, I know some of y'all wanted the severe weather, so I will do it again for today. That way you will have your severe weather forecast. Even though there is a lot of severe weather for today and tomorrow, there's a smaller chance for tornadoes in all that severe weather. Most of it is going to be a lot of damage and winds and large hail. There is a few chances for tornadoes. So remember, all the links are in the description to help save you time for whatever part of the video you want to see. All I ask is if you know somebody in these impacts, please share this information on social media or just hit the like button. That way this information can get out to more and more people so they can see exactly what's going on. Thank you for your time. I do appreciate every single one of you. And if you do need closed caption, remember I put it in all my videos. It takes YouTube about an hour longer after I post to get everything in there. I just don't put it on an overlay and cover up all the content throughout the whole video for those that don't want it. Just click the CC button down below and when it's available, it will come on for you. But let's get into the information because I'm showing that we still have a lot of things coming and there is a little bit of difference going on with the tropics. Now, to start off, over here in the Pacific side, our disturbance has gone up to 60% chance within the next 5 days. And so far, according to National Weather Service, this could form up by this weekend or early next week and go towards southwestern coast of Mexico. And for those that are wondering, the next name on the Pacific side would be Blas. And of course, there's still nothing on the Atlantic side for the next 5 days. What's the potential to form on the Atlantic side is somewhere from the 17th all the way through the 21st and 22nd. And the next name for the Atlantic side would be Bonnie. Plus, the information on the global tropics are still the same. They're still expecting a cyclone formation in this red area from June 8th to June 14th. And from June 15th to June 21st, there is an expected tropical depression or greater strength in this red area for the Western Caribbean and the Bay of Campeche. An update on a potential velocity anomaly, which lets us know if we have sinking air or rising air coming to our area. We still have that system forming up from the 14th all the way to the 18th. This is the one that's going to the Eastern Pacific. And we have the one coming from the 22nd and a little bit further on, according to the GFS, for some more rising air coming up. A potential chance for another tropical system. And once again, GFS is not really great when it comes to interaction with the dust. You can see how it shows the system still coming off the MDR around the same time, and the sinking air in between is just a little bit when we actually have a big plume. Now this will fan out a little bit while it gets pulled around the Bermuda High a little bit, and that is giving it a chance from the 17th onto the early 20s for something to happen. Also, the update with the Euro as well. And it's showing that system that's coming to the Eastern Pacific is going to be weak. It's always showing it weak. As well as another strong system that's coming off the MDR with the sinking air in between still. Now, this one right here is a little bit stronger coming off the MDR. I'll show you. But going through all this sinking air, all this dust, will keep it weak all the way to the Caribbean where something maybe could happen later. But that is later. Now, I did post this once before, and I did show y'all the link before because a lot of people wanted to know about this information. And I saw someone speaking about it yesterday, so I figure I'd remind you again. Remember, the link is in the description for you to go read about it as well. But there is a hurricane and tornado control device that was invented. Just so you do know, there is something that can control these systems, guys, and create these systems. So they could destroy these systems as well if they wanted to, but they know how it works and they know how to create them. But once again, the link is in the description so you can go read about how they can control this weather and create these systems, guys. So there's a lot of good information for you to check out. It is a lot of reading, but it does go into brief detail of how hurricane and tornado control device was actually invented. And it was invented by Andrew Waxmansky. And a little tricky part is if you read down here on the bottom, it says that it was actually abandoned as status. So as we go through our updates, the 0Z with the GFS, remember the 0Z and the 12Z is usually when you get your best weather information. That's when they send up all these balloons all across the world and get the best data. And it still shows once again that something could form up in a major hurricane going towards southern Texas. Now, I'm not saying that this is believable, but the part that's believable is the curve that it does after. It goes more to a west-southwest more than a northern turn. But still, this is supposed to be forming up around the 16th and 17th and moving into the early 20s. Now, we do have this dust moving through. There is that little pocket of thinned out dust where it could do some kind of formation, and we do have a cold front doing some kind of interaction as well. This right here, take with a grain of salt, guys, because once again, this is only seen by the GFS. Although, if you look at the 6Z, it's once again showing it could go towards Florida again and do some kind of strengthening to some kind of system. But if you go through the previous runs, you'll see where it's just all over the place with the GFS. Nothing has been steady and nothing has been all the time one location. It's been all over the place. So nothing is confirmed about this forming. I just want to alert you to what GFS is still showing. And if you actually take a look at the 6Z, you can see where the cold front comes down and it comes more to a southern and hits this storm, wobbles it a little bit more than an eastern northeastern. And according to the MJO, the Madden-Julian oscillation, which shows all the cold air revolving around the north, it shows it's most likely going to be in the northeast and not be in the south. So I don't see this happening in the first place because of the dust, even though it is thinning out. I see more of a western push. I've always seen more of a western push. And another thing that don't show part is I don't see this cold front being there this far to the south. Because just like I told you yesterday, it's too far to be reading a cold front this far in the Arctic oscillation showing the cold front or the warm fronts coming in. Because you can see how it did retract back a little bit from the 16th and 17th. And now it's saying, oh, maybe the cold front will be around the 20th or 21st. So all this right here is just too far to be predicting any kind of cold front, especially a hurricane as well. Because when you take a look at the update on your Madden-Julian oscillation, which shows you all this cold air coming from the north, you can see as it revolves around with 7 being your west coast, 8 being your east coast, and 1 being your MDR, your main development region. You can see as it goes to the beginning of the month, it goes up to the northeast. And that cold front, instead of being over here going towards the south, is showing that it'd be somewhere around the northern Atlantic to where it won't be affecting nowhere's near the south. So those two informations don't collide or show true with each other at all. So with that in mind, with 7 being your west coast, 8 being your east coast, you can see how this cold front comes in and it goes to the east northeast. Now this is the 0Z where it showed that potential hurricane going towards Texas. And you can see this is towards the east northeast with that push, just like the Madden-Julian oscillation shows. And you can also see this on the 6Z where it also shows that potential hurricane going towards Florida. You can see that the cold front is to the east northeast and it's not coming to the south. So I don't show that as true, even though you can see this is correct with the MJO. As far as these systems getting pushed by a cold front, there's no way it's going that far south. So as we look at the updated information from the NASA satellite, you can see we have this big plume of dust coming all the way through. But you can also see that the update, instead of being over the Bay of Campeche, also over the Eastern Pacific, now it's showing the wave will be right here by Belize towards the Western Caribbean, also the one over the Eastern Pacific. And if you look at the update, you'll see it kind of collides together, makes the system over here in the Eastern Pacific, and it rolls to the west, still the same direction. But what the GFS is talking about is from the 16th to the early 20s. And that's our next wave that is coming. And as you can see with the update, as the plume of dust moves to the west, keeping all this suppressed to where the first one don't come towards Texas or any of the U.S. states, potentially for northern Mexico. You can see it starts building up a wave over here by the gyre where it does it all the time, right when you get another plume of dust coming through. But in between that time, you have a little period where it thins out with the dust. And that's why GFS is saying, oh, it can hurry up and zip in. It can hurry up and zip this way. And actually, like I said yesterday, GFS is not really good when there's dust interaction. So GFS is seeing it a lot thinner than it actually is. But you can see how it tries to form up and push northern with that wave as it comes through. Well, once again, you can also see that this big plume of dust, which is a high pressure, would be pushing this to the west once again. So I do not see how that would be in play for Florida at least. And once again, when you try and match it up with the NASA satellite, you can see right around the 13th and the 14th that the Euro is not showing both of those at all. It's only showing the one vorticity. And the GFS as well. It tries to show that it can build up the vorticities, but you can see around the 13th and 14th, just like it's shown with the NASA satellite, that GFS is not bringing up both of them. It has a little moment where it gets kind of close to what NASA is showing, but it's not as strong as what NASA is showing with that satellite. GFS is not correct with NASA neither. I'm still showing that the Canadian model is still showing two potential vorticities, just like the NASA satellite is seeing. You see how it breaks up into two upper level lows, and the vorticity goes over towards Eastern Pacific, and it also heads towards the Western Caribbean. So the Canadian model still sees what the NASA satellite sees, that it will be suppressed, and these storms will go towards Mexico, break up, and go west. That would not be happening for the U.S. But at the same time, you can also see that the Canadian model is showing that we could get something around the 16th that could get into our Gulf and do a possible spin up at the last moment real close to home. But one part that is still concerning is when you look through the members. The members still show that not only will that form up on the Eastern Pacific, and it does have that chance to form up over here by the Western Caribbean like the NASA satellite sees. It shows that after that dust potentially thins out, that it could still move to the Gulf of Mexico. Now you see how a member goes towards Florida. That's what GFS sees on the 6Z this morning. But most of it shows that it will go to the west, southwest. Where so far is still too far to be sure, guys, but it's still showing and confirming that this will go somewhere towards the Gulf of Mexico. Even the 6Z run on the ensemble members confirms both of those groupings, but it still goes into the Gulf and still goes to multiple possibilities of where this energy could go. But we do need to keep our eye on the tropics, because this is when all the storms are forming close, and this has been trending on the ensembles that something is coming into our Gulf. Potentially will be weak is my guess, because with all this dust, nothing really could breathe and strengthen up. And it could be like we had before, where we had Agatha break apart and the remnants of that got together with another tropical wave and formed the weak Alex that we had. So that could be a potential as well. Because like I said last time, in June, this is where everything forms up in June. It can also form very close to home, go towards the Western Caribbean, or even curve around the Bermuda High and go towards northeastern Gulf of Mexico or the east coast of the U.S. But here's a different view of the NASA dust so you can see the thickness and how thin it does actually get around the 16th and 17th. So as we go through, you can see we started getting this wave curving in by the 10th, and this carries on towards the Central America, goes on to the Eastern Pacific, just like it shows on everything else. And these waves all go towards the west, southwest. But after that is when it starts thinning out before this next plume comes. And you can see it actually does get pretty thin. So you can see from here, from the whole basin, how it just thins out, but it still holds somewhat together. It gets expanded and stretched across with this dust, but this is still a big high pressure blocking all this region, guys. It would be Western Caribbean, South Bay of Campeche if anything forms up. At the same time, you can see we do have another wave coming off the coast of Africa. It is covered in dust. It cannot breathe or form. It is starting to stretch out and thin out as it goes towards the Caribbean. But we do have a big wave trying to make its way towards the Caribbean. But as you can see, it's just not doing anything. And you can see that shot best here as it comes off of Africa. It's just covered in all of that dust, and it cannot do any strengthening whatsoever. It gets very broad, which is a good sign of it dying out. And it's not even all the way around anymore. It's just getting dust all in the center of that system. So there's no way that is doing anything, at least until it gets off the MDR. But when we go to our Spaghetti-O models, this is the Euro. The Euro is confirming that around the 17th that there is a chance for something to form up by the gyre, and it actually could make its way to the Western Caribbean and get into the Gulf of Mexico and strengthen up a little late. And this is the Spaghetti-Os according to the Euro. So from the 17th all the way to the 20th is how long it would take to travel. Or it could go a little more western, be weak like this one you see over here in the Bay of Campeche, and just head west. But it is once again showing there's chances for this to strengthen up in multiple locations. So the GFS sees it, the Euro Spaghetti-Os sees it as well as a potential, as multiple locations. It can go towards Mexico, it could go towards Texas. There's opportunity for Louisiana, and there's an opportunity for the panhandle of Florida because that dust thins out. I think this is highly unlikely at this point, even though it is in the Spaghetti-O models of the Euro. The actual model guidance from Euro is not showing this. But once again, when you look at the Euro from the precipitable water, you can see over here in the Caribbean, as you go towards the 12th, the 13th, the precipitation of this wave moving through, it goes to Western Caribbean, then it goes to the Bay of Campeche. Then that next wave, which I showed you that could not do anything to at least it gets to the Caribbean, Euro does confirm that this precipitation does get a little bit heavier, and it does head somewhere towards the Western Caribbean by the 18th. So the 17th to the 18th, to where this goes afterwards is still unknown. Also, it shows possibility of that cold front coming down as well. So I will keep you updated. It's too far to be sure, but to show the Euro is showing now that this precipitation starting to head in this direction is just a little bit worrisome. It's too far to be sure. When I see this trending more and more, then we can really think about the possibilities of it. Until then, it's still just the GFS. And here's the difference. Exactly that time on the 18th, GFS has a system like this, and Euro has it like this. So it's a way bigger difference. Now the GFS shows in the cyclone locations that in 4 days that this system could go a little more northern. And this is right by Guatemala, Honduras, and heads towards the Western Caribbean on the 14th. Euro shows that this possibility would be on the 17th, which is a lot later, which would be the next wave, not the wave that the GFS is seeing now. But the potential locations, according to GFS, shows it could go over the Yucatan, go over northern Mexico, and that is where it's been trending a lot. So the GFS is definitely seeing the next wave that is coming through that could take that northern track through the Gulf. And the locations are just any possibility at this point. Could be towards the western, northern, eastern, getting pulled around the Bermuda High. It's just too far to be sure on that. The only thing that is sure is that that first one is going towards somewhere by northern Mexico. I will keep you updated on the potential impacts of that. I'm not showing that this first wave is going towards northern Gulf. It would be that second wave, if anything at all. Matter of fact, the update with the cyclone location with GFS takes a little more of a west-southwest curve on that first system and not so high north because we have all that dust. So it's starting to collide a little bit to where it is not going to be that far northern. But it is still seeing that northern track on that second wave. So that second wave has a potential to do something according to the GFS and the Spaghetti-Os according to the Euro. So I will definitely keep myself updated on this. I want to keep everybody high alerted as early as possible as soon as this starts trending with multiple models. Because this is what those Spaghetti-Os, those cyclone locations look like when you put it in a picture graph. So you can see obviously that it does head towards Louisiana in a lot of these. Some of them goes towards Florida, some of them goes towards Mexico, some of them goes a little bit towards Texas. So there's multiple different areas that this could form and go up to. But what you want to pay attention to is this one. This is your controlled member, guys. So the controlled member of the GFS is showing just like the NASA satellite that it will be some little upper level low by the Western Caribbean by Belize, as well as a system forming up by the Eastern Pacific. And that's exactly what the Canadian sees. That's exactly what the NASA satellite sees. And if you keep going forward out of all these ensembles, the most likely outcome is that it would travel west, stay somewhat weak, and go towards Mexico, not northern in the Gulf. The only part that is just a little bit worrisome, and I'll only say a little bit, this is the ensembles, and a control member will tell you the most likely outcome out of all them things. And the Farmer's Almanac did predict a tropical storm going towards Texas sometime, I believe it is from the 16th and 17th all the way to the early 20s. When you look at the 6Z, no matter what all these say, because they always say crazy things, when you look at a controlled member of the 6Z, it does show something a little bit different. It does show that it will be a weak high pressure to the north, and this would travel towards Texas as a potential system, just like the Farmer's Almanac is showing. But once again, it's still 8 days away before that possibility. It's still too far to be even thinking about anything serious about this. All we can do is stay updated and see what the new changes are so we can stay on top of this. Because once we get the trend and we start getting more models agreeing with what's going to happen, then we can start telling people, hey, you might want to prepare for this possibility. Until then, please take all this with a grain of salt. It is still too far away, except for Mexico. I will update you on the potential impacts because the one in the Eastern Pacific, as well as all that energy coming across the gyre through Central America, will bring heavy precipitation to all of you. So I will keep y'all updated on that. Now let me go through the severe weather real quick. I don't want this to be a crazy long video, but this information needs to get out because we are covering a lot more than just one area, guys. So we did have 2 tornadoes yesterday, and it was in western and southwestern Ohio. I did post this on my community tab that more than likely it would be southwestern Ohio by what I've seen, and I should have put it in the video. And I am sorry I did cut it out because evidently y'all did need the information. So that's why I'm putting it in today. That's why I'm putting in timestamps so you can see this information. Because I do show that more times than not, the information I show about these tornadoes do show true. Plus, I do not want people to give y'all a lot of fear mongering telling you they got this big tornado outbreak, this super strong system coming through. It's going to throw a bunch of tornadoes everywhere. Because yes, you do have a severe weather outlook for today, but your tornado chance is a little 2%. This is for Nebraska and for Kansas. And I actually show that actually the threat will be very much damaging winds. You have significant wind in this black, and your chances for hail. You have chances for significant hail in this black as well. So remember, the link is always in the description for this. All you do is click on it, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see the cities of these impacts. But so far, your tornado threat for today is Kearney, Nebraska, North Platte, Nebraska, Hayes, Kansas, Great Bend, Kansas, and Lexington, Nebraska. So you do have severe weather going into tomorrow as well. And this is where I think it's really going to kick off later on tonight. Overnight to the early morning hours, we're going to have this group of storms traveling to the east, southeast, all the way to the deep south. Just like the one for today where it showed a big risk area, I showed you how a small area of that is for tornadoes. So don't let people hype you up thinking that whole area is that worrisome for tornadoes, because that's just wrong to be like that. You do have some damaging winds coming for today and some chances for some large hail. For tomorrow, you do have a 2% for tornadoes as well. It's a little bit bigger for tomorrow as this comes down, but it is bringing wind and it is bringing chances for hail with that as well. And your places for tornado threat for tomorrow, for Friday, is Shreveport, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, Jackson, Mississippi, Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Fayetteville, Arkansas. But you can see once you get into the afternoon looking at your lightning strikes with the Euro that you do have the hail threat. You start getting hail going through Nebraska with these big white lightning flashes as you go through the evening, and it carries into Kansas. But overnight, it's going to stay strong for Kansas, go on down through Oklahoma, Arkansas, spread out for northeastern Texas, Louisiana, and portions of Mississippi all morning long, all the way to 2 p.m. for its strongest, 12, 1 o'clock, and then it separates for 2 and 3 p.m. But when you check your helicity tracks, which is your wind direction change with height, which is exactly what a tornado is when it happens, you can see that you do get a trail coming through Nebraska, but you also get some bad storms that's coming from South Dakota and North Dakota, just ripping on down all the way till midnight. And this is your 12Z from HRRR. That's why I wanted to wait a little bit on my video today. I wanted to make sure we get some updated runs. I'm showing conflicting information on this tornado threat. But you see there is a chance for South Dakota to get in there, as well as some nasty cells for North Dakota also. So you are going to see storms racing down through y'all this evening. But for Nebraska, I don't see a huge tornado threat where National Weather Service has it. Maybe a little bit for southwestern Nebraska going into northwestern Kansas. But I'm really showing it as around 2 p.m. when it starts kicking up for chances for Nebraska. And there is some shear that's hitting on these cells as they pass through for you, Nebraska. And that's a nasty little kidney bean right there. And as you go through the evening, it grows, as well as what's coming from North Dakota going through South Dakota. You get some nasty little cells. And if you look at the shear, you can see they are getting some shear on those cells as well. So there's a good possibility that National Weather Service will upgrade this a little bit and cover some of the Dakotas as well, because these cells have some shear on it, even the one coming through North Dakota. If that don't get in the National Weather Service, then I really don't know, because that looks a little bit crazy for me all the way to 9 and 10 o'clock tonight. It just looks like it's all the way from North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and get into Kansas. Each one of these cells shows that it could be a chance for definitely for some hail, but it could be a chances for tornadoes. You are getting shear in these cells as they pass through all evening long, and it stays strong all evening long as it keeps going further to the south. So even though National Weather Service don't have it on their radar, guys, which I've seen like the other day, we had 11 tornadoes. Iowa wasn't on their radar as well, and they had a tornado, or many times Florida had tornadoes, and National Weather Service didn't say nothing. But from what I can see with these cells from North Dakota, South Dakota, all the way to late tonight, as well as Nebraska and for Kansas, these cells get really nasty for you guys as it goes into later tonight in the overnight hours, as well as the shear. You can see how the shear starts picking up on these cells, especially for South Dakota and North Dakota. As the evening goes along, it carries the shear with it. So I really think that even though it's not on their radar, please be aware of a potential tornado for you guys. I think that they might upgrade this a little bit, because with this new information coming out in the 12Z is pretty worrisome. A lot of nasty cells passing through. Because when you look at the HRRR 48 hour, I think for once it actually has it pegged, guys. You have a nasty cell coming through North Dakota. You have nasty cell from southeastern South Dakota coming through Nebraska, really strong cell. And it goes all night long. Midnight, carries overnight, goes all the way through Missouri, Arkansas, builds back up for tomorrow morning, and then goes down to the south and southeast, with your chances for a tornado right there by Jackson where they were talking about. So this looks like some very nasty long-lived cells with the potential. Now this is 48 hour, and usually the information is a lot different than the HRRR, but you can see how they're kind of coming together on what's going to happen, because the update is showing some nasty cells for North Dakota and South Dakota as well. But as far as the winds go, you can see that the winds really pick up for eastern Colorado, goes into western Kansas, Oklahoma, panhandle of Texas. Those storms really strengthen up to a lot of strong wind gusts coming with this system. So just be aware, could have anywhere from 60, 70, even possibility for 80 in the panhandle of Texas or somewhere around central Oklahoma as this storm comes down. Because when you look through the 48 hour, it does pick up some strong winds coming through Nebraska through those cells, as well as eastern Kansas, as well as the strong winds for Oklahoma and the Texas panhandle. But as it goes overnight all the way to the early morning hours, you can just see the bowing out in that it is bringing a lot of damage and wind gusts with that system as it comes all the way down towards Mississippi. So Danny, I do hope you are watching, because it's showing chances for 70, even 80 miles per hour wind gusts. Even if it's just 60, it's going to be bad enough. Just be aware that this system is coming worse overnight into tomorrow with a lot of damage and winds, and your chances for your tornadoes as well for tomorrow. As you can see on the 48-hour, these cells do still pop up for North Dakota. They go through South Dakota. You got them for Nebraska, and it carries on down through Kansas, western Missouri, all the way to 4 o'clock in the morning, northern Arkansas by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and just keeps going down, getting pushed by all them winds. Then it goes towards Mississippi and northern Louisiana by noon, and goes all the way down towards New Orleans and southern Mississippi by 4 and 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So this does look like a nasty band of storms coming your way. But that is the update as well as the severe weather, guys. And I will keep you updated. Remember, the 12Z and the 0Z is supposed to have the best information, and those are showing the most worrisome ones. I have this pretty slow so you can see all the hail cores in the system as it does pass through later tonight all the way until tomorrow for the south. Time and date is on the top left as slow as I can get it so you can see what's happening with these storms. Now, once again, let's praise our Lord. God bless all of you today. I pray that you have a very blessed Thursday out there. One day away from Friday. Yay. For the weekend. So I hope you have a great day for today. Psalm 30. I will extol thee, O Lord, for thou hast lifted me up and hast not made my foes to rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried unto thee, and thou hast healed me. O Lord, thou hast brought up my soul from the grave. Thou hast kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. Sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. For his anger endureth but a moment, and his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And in my prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. Lord, by thy favor thou hast made my mountain to stand strong. Thou didst hide thy face, and I was troubled. I cried to thee, O Lord, and unto the Lord I made supplication. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Shall the dust praise thee? Shall it declare thy truth? Hear, O Lord, and have mercy upon me. Lord, be thou my helper. Thou hast turned for me my mourning into dancing. Thou hast put off my sackcloth and girded me with gladness, to the end that my glory may sing praise to thee and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks unto thee forever. Amen. God bless you all. Thank you so much for visiting my channel today. I truly pray you have a very special and a very great day today. And I do appreciate every single one of you and the time that you give me every day. Thank you so much. And all glory, all power, all honor does go to Yahweh, God of Jacob, our Father, our God. Amen. Hallelujah. Have a very great day. God bless all of you.